What if I told you that the most powerful moment at the Italian Open had nothing to do with tennis? What if the real story, the one that broke the internet, the one that left millions of people in tears, happened not on the court, but in a tunnel beneath it, between a 20-year-old girl from the Philippines and the most famous woman on the planet? Because on May 12, 2026, something happened inside Rome's Foro Italico that no script could have written. No publicist planned it. No camera crew staged it. And no one, not the tournament officials, not the security detail, not the thousands of fans filling those marble-lined stands, saw it coming. But here's what makes this story different from every other celebrity meets athlete moment you've ever seen. This wasn't a photo opportunity. This wasn't a PR move. This was something raw. Something real. Something that made a pop star, a woman who has performed for 70,000 screaming fans at a time, sit down, lean forward, and forget that the cameras even existed. So before we get to the moment itself, before we get to the handwritten note, the tearful embrace, the promise made in a tunnel that the entire world is still talking about, let me take you back to the beginning. Because to understand why Taylor Swift couldn't look away, you first have to understand who Alex Eala really is. And trust me, by the time this story is over, you'll understand exactly why one of the biggest stars in human history looked at a 20-year-old tennis player and saw a reflection of herself. Rome in May is something else entirely. The Foro Italico doesn't just host tennis, it breathes history. The marble statues lining the complex have watched champions come and go for nearly a century. Kings and queens have walked its corridors. Legends have sweated under its sky. The clay courts carry the memory of every battle ever fought on them, and on this particular afternoon, that weight felt heavier than ever. Because Alex Eala was about to walk out onto that court and face Elena Rybakina, the reigning Australian Open champion, the world number 2, a player whose serve lands like a thunderclap and whose ground strokes carry the cold, mechanical precision of a machine built specifically to dismantle human confidence. But nobody told Alex Eala to be afraid. That's the thing about her that you have to understand first. She had already done the impossible at this tournament. World number 45 Magdalena Frech had stood across the net from her, and Alex had saved 9 out of 10 break points, clawed back from a 3-1 deficit in the final set, and walked off that court with a victory that made the entire Philippine community watching from 10,000 miles away erupt in disbelief. Then she came back the very next day and dominated number 31 seed Wang Xinyu in straight sets, the same player who had broken her heart in Auckland months earlier. Her ranking had climbed from 42 to 38 during this single tournament. She was playing the best tennis of her life. And still, standing across from Elena Rybakina, none of that history felt like enough. But what nobody outside that stadium knew yet was this: someone else was watching. Someone who had no obligation to be there. Someone who had wrapped the European leg of one of the most successful concert tours in music history just days earlier and should, by every logical measure, have been resting. The main entrance of the Foro Italico's central stadium opened quietly. No announcement. No fanfare. No stopping for photographs. Taylor Swift walked in, moved directly to the front row, sat down, and fixed her eyes on the court. The security detail tensed. The tournament officials scrambled. The photographers who had been trained to scan the crowd for exactly this kind of moment raised their cameras. But Swift didn't wave, didn't smile for the lenses, didn't perform the arrival the way celebrities usually do. She just sat there, leaning slightly forward, completely still, watching a 20-year-old Filipino warm up for the biggest match of her life. And here's the question that nobody in that stadium could answer in that moment. Why? Why was Taylor Swift here? Why this match? Why this player? Why Rome? Why now? Why the front row? The answer, it turns out, was more personal than anyone imagined. But we'll get to that. First, the match had to be played. The first games told a story that nobody wanted to hear. Rybakina was dominant. Her serve was a weapon that Eala could only watch sail past her at speeds that seemed physically unfair. The Kazakh star, who leads the WTA Tour this season with 29 wins and a serving record that borders on supernatural, wasn't just winning points. She was sending a message. This is my court. This is my clay. This is not your level. But Alex Eala has never been particularly good at receiving messages like that. She broke back. The stadium erupted. The Philippine flags, hundreds of them, a sea of blue and red, snapped upward. The chant rolled through the marble stands like a wave. Laban Alex. Fight, Alex. And from the front row, Taylor Swift stopped applauding politely and started applauding the way you applaud when something actually moves you. The first set slipped away. 6-4 to Rybakina. The numbers don't capture what was actually happening on that court, because what was actually happening was a masterclass in controlled refusal. Alex Eala was being outgunned, outpowered, and outserved by one of the greatest players alive, and she simply refused to fold. Every time the momentum tilted toward the world number 2, Eala found something. A passing shot. A return that should have been impossible. A point that made the crowd forget, just for a moment, who the favorite was. Swift leaned toward the person beside her. "She's incredible," she said. "She's just getting started," came the reply. And here's where the second set changed everything. Rybakina broke early. 3-1. The flags that had been waving furiously dipped slightly. The chant softened. For just a moment, just a breath of a moment, the stadium seemed to exhale with something dangerously close to resignation. And then Alex Eala did something completely unexpected. She broke back immediately. 2-3, then held her serve. 3-3, the crowd didn't just cheer, they detonated. The flags rose again. The chant surged back louder than before. And Taylor Swift, a woman who has performed in front of more combined audience members than almost any human being alive, was on her feet. Not because the cameras were on her. Not because it was the right thing to do. But because what she was watching demanded it. "I felt that," she would say later. "I felt that exact thing. When the crowd lifts you and you don't know how you're still standing but you are. I felt it from the stage. I just never watched it happen from the crowd before." Rybakina closed out the second set. 6-3. The match was over on the scoreboard. But the scoreboard was lying, because what Alex Eala had produced in that 1 hour and 32 minutes of battle was not a loss. She had drawn 32 unforced errors from the world number 2 while committing only 17 herself. She had broken Rybakina's serve multiple times. She had forced an Australian Open champion, a woman who does not crack, to make mistakes. And she walked off that court with her head held high, because she knew something that the scoreboard couldn't say. She had not been defeated. She had simply run out of time. The Philippine flags waved one final time. The chant echoed through the central stadium, "Laban, Alex," and then faded, the way all great moments fade when they become memory. But Taylor Swift wasn't ready to let this one become memory. Not yet. She rose from her seat. Her security detail tensed. The tournament officials exchanged glances. Protocol in moments like these is clear. Spectators stay on one side, athletes stay on the other. The players' tunnel is not a public space. The barrier between celebrity and competitor is supposed to remain. Swift walked toward the barrier anyway. Alex was near the exit, signing autographs for a small cluster of fans who had gathered at the edge of the stands. Her racket bag was over her shoulder. The exhaustion of the match lived in her face, but she was smiling, because that's who she is, even after a loss, even when she's carrying the weight of a nation on her back. She smiles for the people who showed up for her. "Alex." She looked up. The confusion on her face lasted only a fraction of a second. Then her eyes widened. Then her mouth opened slightly, the way your mouth opens when the thing in front of you simply cannot be real. Taylor Swift was standing in front of her. The woman whose songs had been the literal soundtrack to her teenage years. The woman whose music she had listened to in airport lounges between tournaments, in hotel rooms in cities where she didn't speak the language, on long flights over oceans when she was homesick and exhausted and wondering whether any of this was worth it. "Taylor," she managed, and her voice barely made a sound. Swift didn't hesitate. She stepped forward and opened her arms. "You were amazing out there," she said, and pulled her into a hug that the cameras, thank God, caught from multiple angles. Absolutely amazing. The fans who had been quietly folding their flags stopped moving. The security guards exchanged glances but did not intervene. The tournament photographers pressed their shutters in rapid succession. And the embrace, warm, genuine, unscripted, unhurried, lasted several seconds that felt much longer to everyone watching. When Swift pulled back, she kept both hands on Eala's shoulders and looked directly at her. "I've watched a lot of athletes compete," she said. "I've seen Serena. I've seen Naomi. I've seen the best players in the world. But I've never seen anyone fight like you did today. Not like that." Alex Eala's eyes glistened. The exhaustion of the match, the emotion of the entire tournament, the weight of being 20 years old and representing an entire country while standing in one of the most famous sporting arenas in the world, all of it surfaced at once, right there in her face, and she didn't try to hide it. "I wrote a song once," Swift said. "And there's a line in it, 'Fighters never lose. They just run out of time.' I've been saying those words for years." She paused. "Today, I finally understood what they actually mean." Now here's where the story takes a turn that nobody saw coming. Because what happened next, in the 90 seconds that followed, is what made this moment the most shared celebrity encounter in Italian Open history. And it's not what you think it is. The conversation that unfolded between Taylor Swift and Alex Eala near that player's tunnel was not polished. It was not rehearsed. It was two people from completely different worlds recognizing something in each other that most people spend their entire lives trying to find. "I've been following your journey," Swift said. "Not just the tennis. The way you connect with people. The way your fans show up for you. The way you've turned every tournament into a homecoming." She gestured back at the court, at the space where the flags had been waving minutes before. "That's not something you can fake. That's not something that comes from a marketing team or a PR strategy. That comes from who you actually are." Eala nodded slowly, still processing the surreal architecture of this moment. "I write songs about people like you," Swift continued. "People who refuse to give up. People who turn pain into power. People who make the rest of the world believe, genuinely believe, that anything is possible." She paused, choosing her next words carefully. "When I'm on stage, the crowd carries me. I've said it 1,000 times in interviews. The energy of 70,000 people is like nothing else on earth. It lifts you. It physically lifts you." She looked back at the empty stands. "I saw that same energy today. Those flags. That chant. The tears on people's faces." She turned back. "They weren't just cheering for you. They were cheering for themselves. For every Filipino who has ever been far from home. For every person who has ever felt like the world was asking too much of them and found a way to keep going anyway." Alex Eala reached out and touched her arm. Gently. "The way you reach for something you're afraid might disappear." "Thank you for coming," she said. "Thank you for seeing me." "I see you," Swift replied. "And I'll be watching. We all will." The cameras were still rolling. The fans were still watching. And then Taylor Swift did something that no one in that stadium, not the officials, not the photographers, not the security detail, had any idea was coming. She reached into her bag. She pulled out a small, folded piece of paper. The kind of paper you fold carefully because what's written on it matters. She pressed it into Alex Eala's hands and said, "This is for you. I wrote it on the flight over." Eala unfolded it slowly. Her eyes moved across the words. And then she stopped breathing for a moment. Just a moment, and when she exhaled, it came out as a gasp. It was a lyric. Handwritten. Not yet released. Not yet heard by anyone outside Taylor Swift's closest circle. 4 lines, written somewhere over the Atlantic Ocean by a woman who had been following the story of a young Filipina tennis player and felt compelled to put something into words. "The flags will follow wherever she goes. A fighter's heart, a love that grows. From Manila to Rome, she carries us home. Laban Alex, you're never alone." Eala looked up. Her eyes were full. The tears came quietly, the way the deepest emotions always do. Not dramatically, not performatively, but with the quiet devastation of something that is absolutely true. "I can't," she whispered. This is... "You can," Swift said. "And you will. Because every single word of that is true." There was a silence between them. The kind of silence that is actually very loud, filled with everything that doesn't need to be said because both people already know it. And then Swift said the thing that has been replayed, quoted, and analyzed more than anything else from this entire extraordinary day. When you win your first Grand Slam, and you will, I want to be in the stands. I want to see those flags wave. I want to hear that chant one more time. Right there. Alex Eala straightened. Something shifted in her posture. The exhaustion was still there, but underneath it, something else had arrived. The specific kind of certainty that only comes when someone who has walked farther than you looks you in the eyes and tells you that you will make it all the way. I promise, she said. Her voice was steady now. I'll be there. And you'll be there. Deal, Swift replied. She extended her hand. They shook on it. The cameras captured every frame. Every single one. And here's what I need you to sit with for a moment. Because this is where the story becomes something larger than a celebrity encounter at a tennis tournament. This is where it becomes something that matters. Taylor Swift did not have to be at the Foro Italico on May 12, 2026. She had just completed one of the most exhausting legs of one of the most successful concert tours in the history of live music. She could have been anywhere. Resting. Recovering. Celebrating. She was not obligated to sit in a front row seat at an Italian Open third-round match. She was not obligated to walk toward a player's tunnel and ignore every protocol separating spectators from athletes. She was not obligated to write a lyric on a plane for a 20-year-old girl she had never met, fold it carefully, carry it across a continent, and press it into her hands with the quiet confidence of someone who already knows how the story ends. She did all of it anyway. Because some stories reach people who have the power to amplify them. Because some fighters create a gravity around themselves that pulls the right witnesses into the right seats at the right moment. Because Alex Eala is exactly the kind of person that Taylor Swift has spent her entire career writing songs about. And when you finally meet the embodiment of your own lyrics standing in front of you, covered in clay dust and holding her racket bag, you don't walk past her. You stop. You hug her. You tell her the truth. The handwritten lyric has since been shared over 40 million times across social media. Swifties and tennis fans, two of the most passionate communities on the internet, converged on this single moment with the kind of collective energy that makes algorithms stop working and just let something spread organically. Every word has been analyzed. Every syllable debated. Hidden meanings searched for, considered, and ultimately dismissed, because the meaning was never hidden. Laban Alex. You're never alone. That's it. That's the whole message. 5 words that mean, we see you. We are with you. The distance between Manila and Rome is nothing. The flags follow. The chants follow. The people who love you follow you everywhere you go, and now one more voice has joined that chorus, and it happens to be one of the loudest voices on earth. Alex Eala walked into the Foro Italico on May 12, ranked 42nd in the world, representing a country that watches every match with the same collective held breath of a nation that knows talent when it sees it and refuses to stop believing in it. She walked out ranked 38th, with victories over 2 seeded players, a near defeat of the world number 2, and a promise from Taylor Swift tucked inside her racket bag. None of those numbers explain what actually happened. The numbers never do. What actually happened is simpler and more complicated than any ranking. A girl who grew up listening to songs about fighting through the impossible walked onto the biggest clay court in Rome and played like she had already lived through every hard verse and was finally arriving at the chorus. And the woman who wrote those songs was sitting in the front row when she did it. And what nobody is saying, but everyone is thinking, is this: that handwritten lyric isn't just a note. It's a prediction. It's a declaration. It's Taylor Swift, the woman who has spent 2 decades studying what it looks like when someone refuses to be ordinary, saying, I see where this is going. I know how this ends. And I'm putting it in writing. From Manila to Rome, she carries us home. The question the entire world is now asking is the same question that's probably sitting in your chest right now, quiet and alive and impossible to ignore. When Alex Eala lifts that first Grand Slam trophy, and after what happened in Rome, the word "when" feels very different from the word "if." When that moment arrives, when the flags fill some great stadium and the chant rolls like thunder and a 20-something girl from the Philippines raises a trophy that changes everything she has ever worked for, will Taylor Swift be in the stands? She said deal. She extended her hand. She shook on it. And if there's one thing the entire world has learned about Taylor Swift, it's this. When she makes a promise, she keeps it. The flags will follow wherever she goes. That's not just a lyric anymore. That's a story that's still being written, one match at a time, one tournament at a time, one improbable, breathtaking, history-making victory at a time. And the moment it reaches its ending, the moment Alex Eala finally holds that trophy above her head and the entire world stops, none of us are going to be able to say we didn't see it coming. Because we saw it. Right here in Rome. In a tunnel beneath a marble stadium, between a young fighter and a woman who knew exactly what she was looking at. We all saw it.